Boom, boom, boom. Water.
Great. Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Morning.
All right, so we're gonna get started. Just a moment. My lighting looks a little dark today, so sunny outside. I don't know what's going on, but all right.
Hey, good morning, Jim.
All right, so it looks like we have about 19 so far. Is that what you're getting, Katie?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. So we have others who'll be joining. So thank you all so much for joining us this morning. My name is Michael Rausch, and I'm with the National Disability Institute. We're so excited that you signed up and that you showed up for the training today. As Katie had mentioned in the email, we had an overwhelming response to the training. So you all were the lucky ones who got chosen for this one. What I'd like to ask before we get started, we're just going to do some housekeeping items. If we could ask everyone to mute your Can you hear me? It muted me too, Katie.
I just muted
okay,
everyone. So, yeah.
Okay, yeah, I got the message that I was muted, and so perfect. It's very typical, Katie. You'll meet Katie in just a moment. Katie and I, Katie Metz is also with NDI. We've worked together for many, many years and do these trainings across the country. So oftentimes she will just mute me out of no reason. And so I figured that's what she was doing at this moment.
Like
but okay. Katie, how about you introduce yourself too, and then we'll go into the housekeeping pieces.
Great. So I'm Katie Metz with National Disability Institute. As Michael just aged me, I've been doing this work with NDI for over 10 years and in the disability field for over 20. And so we want to welcome all of you to this training. And really, first and foremost, thank you guys for your interest in really learning how to promote financial wellness for individuals with disabilities throughout Illinois. Today, mostly I'll be behind the scenes helping run the Zoom platform and just chiming in and, as Michael said, muting him when necessary. We're not just kidding. We're very, very good, long lifetime now, pretty much friends and colleagues. So I will turn it back over to Michael.
Great. All right, perfect. And our other colleague, Lori Schaller, she's on holiday this week, and so you'll meet her next week when she joins. And throughout the training, you'll have me some days, you'll have Katie, and then you'll have Lori, as well as some guest speakers. So you're going to have a mix of folks that you will be able to learn from. And this is the largest virtual group we've done. Our last one that we did, we kept it at 15, but for this one, I think we have 25. So that's what we usually have in person, but we'll see how it goes. So before we get started, let's just go over some housekeeping items. Let me just pull this back up. So first of all, thank you for those of you who have your camera on. This is an important component because for you to get your certificate of completion, we need to make sure that folks are engaged and people are listening. We had a Zoom call once and we didn't require the cameras, and one of the attendees turned on their camera and they were laying down and grooming their beard So then we were asking a question and they weren't even on. So we just have to make sure that people are participating. All right. So if you could make sure to keep your cameras on as well. We want to make sure that everyone participates. I'm going to tell you this up front, but I hope it doesn't happen. But there is an expectation that for you to get the certificate of completion, that you attend each of the trainings. For extreme circumstances, if there are those extreme situations, you can miss up to 2 training sessions, and you'll be responsible to make up the work. You'll have to listen to the recording and do homework. You can only miss 2. After 2, then you will be dismissed from the class. All right. So just to remind you of that. We also want to make sure that we make this as interactive as possible. So please use the chat box and remain interactive throughout. If you have questions, then you can let me know, and you can raise your hand. You know, we want to make sure, and how we've designed this is that it's very interactive. So we're going to be doing a variety of activities. We're going to be doing, you'll be listening to some lecture, and then we'll come back together. Before I give an overview of NDI and an overview more of the training, we're going to do an opening activity, okay? So since we have a large group, keep it brief, all right? Everybody could get like 1 minute to do it, 60 seconds. We can even put up like a stopwatch if that's helpful. When we ask you what we'd like you to do to introduce yourself. But before that, let me just ask this. I got the message about, did everybody get their binder? I see that somebody did not get their binder. Is that correct?
Good morning.
Oh,
I did not
Look
get
at,
mine.
Who's that? Who is that? Who said that?
That was John and
You
Mary.
might, real quick, because just so you guys know, there's so many people, we can't see everyone on the screen at the same time, at least on my computer. So when you do talk, maybe just say your name so we know who you are.
Good
And
morning.
then I'm
This
going
is
to scroll
John
through to
Emery.
try to find you.
I don't have my binder, and I'm also the one having camera issues. So I'm starting out great today.
Okay. So that's Katrina. Okay, great. Oh no, Katrina, you received your. Ryan, you did not get a binder? Okay. I'm sorry, I'm not seeing the person who's having camera issues. I'm not seeing it and did not get your binder. So could you just put your name in the chat box? I see that John, you did not get your binder yet, unfortunately. Okay. So what we're going to do is we will confirm, we're going to get started, but we're going to confirm via chat with you the address that you gave us, and that's where it was shipped to. So then we can track it to find out where it's at. So if you're working from home and you gave us your business address, then it went to your business. Or if you're at the office and it went to your home, then, you know, hopefully it came there. But it looks like we have 3 so far: John, Ryan, and then the other person who's having camera issues. I did not get your name. Please put it in the chat box. Okay. Great. Let's get started then. So we're going to do an activity, and this is what we would like you to do. All right. We want you to share your name. We want you to share your organization. You can share your job title if you want, but don't tell us all the duties that you do, because we have 5 weeks together. We're going to get to know each other, right? And we got a lot of people to get through. And then I also want you to share your earliest memory of learning about money. Okay? So your name, your organization, if you have an organization, if you're a family member, an advocate, share that. And then your job title, cool, not the history. And then really quickly, your earliest memory, just so we can get through everyone. Does that work? Excellent. And just so you know, as you come to the training, you can't be shy. Because everybody will be participating. So with that, I think to make it easier, I'm just going to go through. I usually like have people raise their hand because I really want to see like who's like that person who really is like out of the gate, you know, stepping up. But with this many people and having the two different things I have to scroll through, I'm just going to go through everybody that's on my screen that I can see in this order. Okay. So with that, congratulations, John. You're the first up. Oh, I think you're muted. We need to unmute.
There we go. Good morning. Sorry about the camera issues. My name is John Emery, and my title is Senior Director. It's actually really long. Senior Director of Programs and Operations and In-House Behavior Analyst. Man, my first memory of money, actually, I think it was when I was, I don't remember how old I was, but I remember for Christmas, I got a card and it had a dollar bill with a Santa face on it. And that was, to me, that was super cool because I didn't know money, but I knew who Santa was. So that's when I then realized like money was something cool, so.
Great, excellent, perfect. Cindy, you're up. Oh, sorry, no. Back up. I've been doing this training for years. I already forgot what I got in the agenda. John, give us one thing you would like to learn within the next 5 weeks on this topic so we can add it to make sure that it's something we can cover.
Sure. So I think I would like to learn, so I support a lot of people with different disabilities. I want to make sure that I'm not imposing my values and my beliefs onto them. So I would like to know, like, what is the best way to support a diverse group of people with different needs and expectations and values and norms and things of that nature, if that makes sense.
Great.
Like, I guess I have my own attitudes and belief systems and expectations about, you know, financial wellness and what that means to me. But, you know, what does that mean to other people? How does it look differently? And how can I support them?
Great. Perfect. Thank you, John. Cindy, you're up.
Hello, my name is Cindy Ketchmarchik. I work for NAMI DuPage. I am the Director of Supported Employment and Volunteer Services. My earliest memory of money, I remember we had a lot of bushes by our house, and we used to help my dad when he had to trim the hedges, and our neighbor would come out and he'd always give us a dime for helping out our dad.
Great. And what do you hope to learn?
I'm hoping to learn more about SSI and SSDI and those types of things.
Okay, great. Welcome.
Thank you.
Sarah.
Hi, I'm Sarah Cawthorn. I'm with Heritage Behavioral Health in Decatur, and I'm the program manager for the Williams Transition Program. My earliest memory for money would probably be when I was given like $20 to go shopping for everyone in my family for Christmas, and so having to really budget and stretch that. And I also would like to learn more about SSI, SSDI.
Great. And so we will talk about SSI and SSDI, but we don't go into as detailed as our benefits training. But we will cover the basics as well as some of the work supports. So great. And we always enjoy talking about benefits. So thank you to both of you for mentioning that. All right, Jonathan, you're up.
Hi, friends. My name is Jonathan May. I work for the Virginia Department for Aging and Rehabilitative Services. My earliest memory of money is for as long as he was alive, every time I would meet with my grandfather, he would greet my entire family at the door with a handshake and would have a dollar bill tucked into his hand and would just palm it to each kid as they walked in the door. And it was our secret dollar, and it was awesome.
Nice. And what do you have to learn?
I'm looking forward to learning I hope we go into it. If not, that's okay too. Kind of the nuance between what the difference between a coach and someone who's just transmitting knowledge would be, so that we can work with people in kind of a coaching way instead of just sharing information.
Great. Perfect. Remind me your organization again.
The Virginia Department for Aging and Rehabilitative Services.
Oh, that's right, Jonathan. Now I get, now I remember who Jonathan is from the emails. Yes, Jonathan is a part of the NDI team on the project, and so he's filling in. So when he says from Virginia, just note that that's why everybody else is from Illinois, but Jonathan and Katie and I live in Florida. But yeah, perfect, excellent, Regina.
Hi, I'm Regina Brown White, two colors. I work for Blue Cap in Blue Island, Illinois. I am the Life Enrichment and Food Pantry Coordinator here. I first learned about money from my grandmother. She used to give me the exact amount of money of my age. So of course I couldn't wait to get older, only at that aspect. But also she used to give me like $2 for each A on my report card and a dollar for each B. So of course I became the best honor roll student because it was always a monetary reward. So that's what I first learned about money. But more importantly, I have adults in my day program here. So I really hope to find new methods and ways to help them all learn about the importance of money, but to bring it down to their level so that we can really teach them, because some of them are employed outside of here, but don't have a true concept of money and what it really means to save and do different things with the limited amount that they have.
Excellent, great. Thank you, Regina, for joining us. Perfect. Dion.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Dion Smith from Easter Seals, Workforce Solutions Specialist. I work with the Senior Community Service Employment Program. We service all of Cook County. With this program, we work with seasoned citizens who are 55 years age and older, with documented disabilities and multiple barriers to employment. I first came into contact with the concept of money in 4th grade. My school had a bank at school with Old Kent Bank, which many of you know is Fifth Third Bank right now. And what I would like to gain from this training program is I would like to gain knowledge and understanding of how everyone can make their money work for them despite declared disabilities, barriers, and challenges in their life.
Great. Thank you, Dion. Matt.
Hi, everyone. I'm the Director of Human Resources at an organization in Chicago called L'Arche Chicago. My first memory of money was back in Florida. My family owns a diner. And when I was younger, my mom would have me there washing dishes as a young child, and she'd give me a couple dollars to do that on the side when I was young. So, and I'm hoping to, I guess, just learn a way to translate this language to the caregivers I support so that there's continuity when they're supporting the individuals that we work with.
Great, thank you, Matt. What part of Florida was the diner?
Daytona Beach.
Okay. Katie lives in Jacksonville, Florida on the west side, and I live in St. Petersburg, Florida on the Gulf side. So, or she lives on the east side, I live on the west side. Great. Bonnie.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Bonita Washington, which I'm also known as Bonnie. I am the owner of C&E Home Agency, and I have a number of other companies I own and run. So I first learned about money, ooh, it's been some years ago because I got taught early on doing chores. And my mom and my stepdad also gave us money during the holidays. My mom owned quite a few different businesses, so I aided and assisted her at a young age. So I'm really into the mathematics. I became an excellent math person and became an excellent math teacher. So dealing with individuals with disabilities, I had two of my own sons that were disabled, and they both passed away. So with them, I had to learn very quickly how to do a lot of things and deal with their finances because they was receiving SSI. So I just want to know if any new changes, if you guys do cover it, any new changes pertaining to SSI, or if not, of course, I do a lot of research of my own in helping the individuals to understand their own flow of money, regardless if they're working outside or if they receiving SSI benefits.
Great. Thank you, Bonnie, for joining us. Perfect. Mickey. And just so people know, Bunny, thank you for, I'm going off the name that I can see that pops up on the screen. So if you go by a different name, then please let us know. But that's what I'm going off on. So Mickey, you're up.
Hi, I'm Mickey, and I am a director of recovery programs at Annixter. I have like 6 programs under me. So really what I'm looking at is just a broader picture to make sure that the financial needs are being addressed across the programs. In some programs where they're payee, others are independent. Some actually live in our group homes, others live in their own apartments, and we do community outreach. You know, some are applying for SSI, some of them are, you know, in the transition between SSI and SSDI, like such a range. And just really wanting to make sure that as I'm setting up policies that I'm taking every financial aspect into consideration, and I'm doing the due diligence to all that. My earliest memory is probably just doing chores around the house and my parents giving me allowance, and you know, the whole negotiation of what the allowance is worth for how many chores I had to do, because it wasn't worth it. But
great. Thank you, Mickey, for joining us.
And I have birds and cats, so I'm going to be on mute as much as possible.
Great. All right, Susan.
Hi, my name is Susan Fowler. I am the parent of a young adult with autism and other disabilities. I'm also an advocate. I plan to share the results of the training with other families who are part of Community Choices, a parent co-op. And I also serve on the county mental health and DD board, so I can share with them as well. My earliest memory of money is my grandfather giving me a quarter to walk to the gas station down his main street of a very small town to put money in the pop machine to get a cold bottle of pop or candy. It was quite exciting when I was 3 or 4.
Great, excellent. Thank you, Susan, for joining us. It's great to have parents involved as well in the training and to get that perspective as well. So thank you. Heather, you're up.
Hello, I'm Heather Baker. I am the Associate Director for a CDS site with CTF Illinois. I'm down in Southern Illinois in Olney. My first memory of money is funny. My dad would give my sister and I a penny to pick up nails when we replaced our roof on our house. And I quickly learned that every nail was worth a penny, and I couldn't understand how he knew the difference between me going and getting the nails out of the shop and the nails I picked up out of the yard. What I'm hoping to learn is just how to educate the folks in my program that I support. We have someone come in from doors and kind of educate what it means to get a job in the community and have that paycheck coming in. But I just want to be able to gain a level of knowledge about financial independence that I can pass on to the folks that I support. so they understand what it means to work outside of the workshop instead of just that guaranteed paycheck from a sheltered workshop situation.
Great. Thank you, Heather. Amy, you're up.
Hello, my name is Amy Engel, and first off, I have the worst internet ever, so if I disappear, I will come back. I work at Link Incorporated. We are a center for independent living in Southwestern Illinois. Currently, I manage all of our home service programs, but in July, I'll be moving up to assistant executive director, so I'll get all the programs. So my hope is that prior to that, I will gain some financial knowledge so that we can bring it back to use with our consumers, who the majority of them are on very limited incomes. Oh, and my first money thing was, of course, my parents giving me money for the ice cream man, which has stayed with me my entire life. I still get excited when he comes through the neighborhood.
Great. Excellent. Thanks for joining us, Amy. Nancy, you're up.
Hello, I'm Nancy Palella. I work at Orchard Village in Skokie. I am the program manager for our Innovations Discover Community Day Services over here. My first memory of money would have to be when I was young. My parents owned a restaurant, so I saw a lot of money coming into the cash registers and I wanted a part of that. So, you know, I would clean tables just so I can make a little extra money for them. And then what I hope to gain from this training is, because, you know, we're with young adults day in, day out, you know, I want to better support them in, you know, just the knowledge of financial freedom, and also give those resources to family members when they come for tours, you know, between transition program and community day services. You know, I want to be able to say, oh, these are things that you can look into. So definitely looking forward to the next 5 weeks.
Great. Excellent. Thank you for joining us. Next up is Litany. Did I say that right, Litany?
Yes, you did. Hi, everyone. I'm Litany. I'm the academic advisor for the co-op program, which is with the Institute on Disability and Human Development at the University of Illinois at Chicago, or UIC. We're an academic certificate program that aims to promote competitive and integrated employment opportunities for students with intellectual disability. I think related to that, what I'd like to learn is specifically financial wellness for young adults or youth in transition age, learning how to pay student loans and budgeting, especially at a weird age when you're just becoming independent. And then my first memory of money is always with my grandpa. He was very proud of the money that he earned. He worked very hard throughout his life. And so he would always carry a giant wad of cash in his pocket. And he says, just if you have this much cash on hand, walk as if you don't have this much cash, and no one will bother you and no one will steal from you. So that's what I remember.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Thanks for joining us. Ryan, you're up.
Hello, my name is Ryan Lacoste, Area Director for Best Buddies in Central Illinois. We work with people with IDD and help them find peer-to-peer friendships, integrating competitive employment and leadership opportunities within their community. I would say I'm looking to learn the best way to help people advocate for themselves with finances, because as we all know, money is power in many ways, and it's an opportunity to more opportunities in many different ways. And I also know there are lots of rules and regulations that I'd like to be able to help people stay within their means so they can continue to get support through the state without being kicked off if they make too much money, if they own a house or a vehicle, or if they get married someday. So just trying to understand the best way to approach and advocate is my goal with all of this. And we're going to be embarking on a financial course, Financial Fridays, starting in May in McLean County. What I've learned about money early on, tooth fairy and chores were one thing, but a good lesson I learned was when I took a check from my mom's purse and wrote it for like $350 for some Sega games. So after I was punished, we learned to balance a checkbook after that.
Great. Yes, yes. Excellent story. And then what a way to learn how to balance a checkbook, right? Great. I have to say, after all these years of doing this, you are the first representative from Best Buddies across the country to go through our training. And so I'm very excited about that, as we've worked with Special Olympics International and other Kennedy programs. And so this is great. Thanks, Ryan, for being here. All right, Katrina, you're up.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Katrina Ivory. I work for Maryville Academy. I am a parenting specialist working with moms who are in recovery and their families, which is a new initiative from DCFS and Supra to keep the families together. My first recollection of money is when my great-grandmother used to sit on the front porch. She would put me in her lap, cut up an apple for me. She always had peppermints and a quarter in her pocket, her apron pocket for me, so that my older auntie could take me to the store and buy me a nickel bag of potato chips. So that is my first recollection of money. I had to be maybe 3, but she would do this on an ongoing basis, and I would look forward to my cut up green apple, my peppermint, and my nickel.
Great. And Katrina, anything else you want to learn besides what was already said? Or
you know what? I want to make sure that the information that I'm passing on to the individuals I service in our program and community, because I do community outreach work as well, is accurate information, ensuring that I am giving them credible resources.
Great.
And just learning best practices with money.
Great. You'll definitely leave with tons and tons and tons of resources. So that's great. Perfect. Rosalie, are you able to talk, or we can wait? Come back. Okay, perfect. It's nice to see you again.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm just going to keep my mask on. Someone's in the room. So I'm Rosalie. I work at the Puitak Center in Chicago's Chinatown. And my job title, Disability Services Facilitator. I teach life skills and vocational training to adults with disabilities that have finished high school. And also I do some home-based self-directive assistance. So those are the 2 roles I play. I guess my earliest memory of money, from as far as I can remember, for Christmas, our parents never gave us gifts. They always gave us a $50 bill, nice and crisp. And so I think when I was a kid, I was always really disappointed. But then now as I grown up, I appreciate that thought, because it gave us a lot of choices, and we could kind of decide what we did. And then I guess what I want to learn, folks in our program are starting to get jobs in the community, and they're getting these paychecks. And so I want to just kind of give them the tools they need to know how to make financial goals and how to budget their money, and what to do with this big paycheck that they're getting all the time. So that, and then I think I echo what Ryan was saying about, the financial limits, as far as like how many assets they can own, and, if they can, make plans for the future and have money in their accounts. So just learning how to advocate for them and allow them to have financial freedom. Thanks.
Great. Thank you, Rosalie, for joining. Perfect. Shannon, you're up.
Hi, everyone. I'm Shannon Tarkowski. I work at Life Center for Independent Living in Bloomington, Illinois. I am the independent living advocate, which means I do a little bit of everything. And let's see, my first very clear memory of money is being very concerned that I swallowed a tooth that I lost, and that the tooth fairy was not going to bring me money. So I remember being very concerned and writing a letter. So The tooth fairy did take the letter and did give me money, just so everybody's clear on that. It works. And then let's see, I think I want to know more about the choices people with disabilities have about the representative payee system. And then how does that representative payee, what are the rules around that? Like, are there guidelines that are set up? Are there rules? Is it between that person and that representative payee? Is everybody's system different? That kind of thing. Because I have a lot of questions that come up on that.
Okay, great. Thank you, Shannon. All right, next, Cynthia.
Hi, I'm Cynthia Cheryl Sprain, and I'm with the Division of Developmental Disabilities in the Bureau of Quality Management. My first memory of money would be when my grandparents came to visit. They would always bring a little gift of money. We didn't see them often, so it was a bonus. What I really want to learn is how to best promote financial wellness for those with the highest level of disability. What's the most effective means to accomplish that overall?
Great. Excellent. We will definitely be covering some of that. The other thing is that at the National Disability Institute, we really believe that financial education is for all and can be delivered to all, regardless of one's abilities. And we will share with you a variety of tools and activities that you'll be able to use for individuals with a significant disability as well. So thank you for mentioning that. Great. Chad, you're up.
Hello, I'm Chad Burgess. I oversee the intermittent residential and home-based services departments at Orchard Village in Skokie. My earliest memory of money, I believe, was when I was able to take an old vintage cast iron piggy bank to the bank and cash out all the change. No idea how old I was at that time. And what I'd like to get out of this training is just ways to educate my clients as far as, financial independence, anything we can use to educate them, based on their abilities, their understanding of money. And hopefully this class can do just that.
Great. We'll definitely touch on that. Thank you, Chad. I think we just have a few more. Michelle, you're up.
Hello, I'm Michelle. I work for Clearbrook. I am the respite coordinator there. And then we serve, clients in a variety of different settings, in residential or home-based and day programs. And I have a group respite program as well. So I'm kind of my specific position works with a lot of people in a small way. So I'm looking in terms of what to learn, kind of how to help people to empower themselves and be able to direct them to resources. And also I plan to share this with like the supportive housing coordinators and their staff as well, because they work kind of more in depth with those clients in these types of areas. I don't know if you go over any sort of resources too for people who have language barriers, because I have a lot of people who call me who I just have a hard time helping. Yeah. So the first memory of money that I have, I think would probably be like the token games at Bill's Pub and like gumball machines.
Great. Thank you, Michelle. All right, Penny, you're up.
Hi, I am Penny Turner. First off, my most important role that I play is to a 23-year-old son of mine named Justice, who is has also high functioning autism. And then secondary, I work at at Egyptian Public and Mental Health Facility that deals with substance abuse, mental health, various disabilities, adult, adolescents. I am a wellness coach, peer support specialist. So I'm ADHD, anxiety. So if I move around a lot, that's why, okay, I'm here. Probably my first memory is, of course, the tooth fairy, we know, but my brother that was a couple years younger than me lost a tooth, and I tried to scam him into letting me put his tooth under my pillow, and I'd give him half of it because I knew the tooth fairy. I got in trouble and I didn't get, half of it, but that's my first. I was scamming my brother. I am very interested because of my son, the SSI, SSD, but more savings while they're working, and the ABLE program. Because I know for years there just wasn't an opportunity, anything over 2,000 you lose, and to have the opportunity for them to have savings for a car or a possible home one day or some type of thing like that. I'm very interested, and I am going to take it back, all the training that I have. I will be teaching the case managers, community support in our systems. I will be doing group and one-on-one trainings with our clients. And I've already talked to some of them through the Southern Illinois Special Olympics area. I will be dealing with teaching some parents and stuff in this area.
Great. Thank you, Penny. Thank you for joining us. All right. Elisa, is that right? Or am I don't think that's an I. Alyssa. Is that right?
I spelled it wrong. That would help.
Okay. I was thinking, perfect. Alyssa.
My name's Alyssa.
Please.
My name's Alyssa. I work for an organization called Cachette in Skokie. My first memory of money is that my grandfather used to come to our house, and any book that he opened, he would leave money in. I don't know why, but he did it at his house also. And when my parents wanted me to learn to read, it was a big incentive because I would open a book and find money in it. Didn't know what it was for, but then I figured it out really quickly. And I'm hoping after this to be able to help the individuals I support understand what their money does. Because I think sometimes, we go to the store, they take out some money and they don't realize that it's worth anything. So I'd like to help them with that.
Great. Thank you for joining us. Perfect. Agatha?
Yes. Hi. Hello, everybody. My name is Agatha DeMarchi. I work in the Epilepsy Foundation Greater of Chicago. I'm one of the bilingual clinicians at the clinical team. My earliest memory about memory, okay, I think so. I don't realize, I think when I was a child, I don't realize about how important that was money because we were lacking a lot of resources. But now I understand that, okay, how we can save money in an early stage will be good, okay? So because we do what can we do with everything that we have at the moment. And something that I would like to learn is how we can bring more awareness. So with this population, but unfortunately, sometimes they feel that because they don't have like an income based on a regular job, still they couldn't save money. And I think that is a misconception that they can still save money as well. And I would like to see how we can bring more awareness and how we can help them to save money and learn more finances, even though when they don't have like a income from a regular job.
Great. Thank you, Agatha. Thanks so much for joining us. Perfect. Carlita, you're up.
Morning, guys. Apologies because I'm having a lot of connectivity issues this morning, as well as sinuses, but I'm Carlita Johnson from Access Living. I'm our financial stability coordinator. And I've been there for about 12 years. My first memory about money, I think somebody said it was the ice cream truck and just always wanting something and getting like $1 or $2 and just like feeling like I'm living my best life in that moment. What I would want to learn about in this training is, and I think a lot of people said it, but taking it a little bit further in terms of our consumers are just really feeling like they can't save, or if they do save, they're scared that their services or resources will be cut. And I think like that really sucks, because it doesn't even give them an opportunity to dream bigger about, you know, creating wealth and just having enough finances for family or vacations or something like that. So learning just more about that. And then also like the ABLE account.
Great, perfect. Thank you, Carlita. All right, besides the NDI stuff, did everybody go? But don't be shy and don't be tricking me if you did not go, because I'm going through here. See, I take notes just to make sure. Okay, yes. Okay. So to wrap up this activity, first of all, I want to say that you all did a wonderful job. We had allocated 30 minutes for this, and we were stressing that we were going to have, like, with 25 people, go way, way over, and you all did it. You did it. You were committed to keeping it to a minute, so that's great. So just as we wrap this up, and then we're going to talk about it, we're fortunate to have our other colleague, Nikki, here with us. So Nikki, could you share your name and you're with NDI and your earliest memory about money?
Yeah, sure. So Nikki Powis, I too, like Amy and a couple of others, am having a little bit of connectivity. I think it's because there's so many cameras on. So if I fade in and out, that'll be the reason also. I think my earliest memory of money is that my grandmother used to send me to the corner store, and I was really young, probably like 5 or 6, to go and get things for her. And it would go on her account. And then at the end of the week, I had to bring a piece of paper back so that she knew how much she had to owe, and then she'd give me the money to go and pay it. So I kind of learned that, you know, going to the store and getting all this stuff, there was some payment at the end rather than it just staying on account. And I also recall that one of the things I used to get for her were packs of cigarettes. And I'm sort of thinking about it now in today's world. You know, can you imagine a 6-year-old being able to go to the store and get cigarettes for the parent or something? But anyway, so yeah, that's my thing.
Great. Thank you, Nikki. Perfect. Katie, we'll have you go.
Sorry, it would be right when, you know, a teenager walks in the room. It's spring break here. Anyway, for me, real quick, my earliest memory of money is probably, does everybody remember the bicentennial quarters and stuff had the different look to them? Yeah. So when I was a little girl, my grandfather had this great big, huge, literally piggy bank, and it had my name on it, and he would collect those, and he called them Katie quarters. And so I thought forever, I think I was probably in my late teens when I realized they were not Katie quarters. And so he would take that money and put it in a savings account for us and buy savings bonds. So that was my earliest memory, and kind of dating myself and how smart I was about those bicentennial quarters. I'll give back to you, Michael.
Great. So my earliest memory of money is similar to what many of you had shared, but you know, when I was younger, we'd have allowances or chores, and I can remember as a very young child going to church. I grew up in Missouri, a Southern Baptist, in a small town with one Southern Baptist church that everybody went to. And we had, I don't know if anybody else is Southern Baptist, but we had these, you know, up on the pulpit, up in the area, we had these big chairs that the preacher sat in, and then where the music director would sit. And as we would get allowance, we would have these little boxes that we have to put our money in. And my parents made sure that we tithed, like we'd get a quarter. So we had to tithe 10% like of that, you know? And so I have to go with my 2 pennies, and I could be there like, God is so rich. Because as a young child, I would draw pictures just thinking of God with all these coins sitting around him in these chairs, you know, and so now I understand how it all works. But that was the whole thing. I was like, someday I'm going to be as rich as God with all those coins. So that was one of my earliest memories. I think the other piece about my earliest memories is that I am a child of poverty. And so I recognize the scarcity of being a young child of poverty, as my single mother raising 4 children was working to create a life for us. So I think there was also that shame that I had learned about money early on, of that piece of how we can, money impacts us, our mental health, our behavior, and things like that. So that was another piece, I think, of my earliest memory. So with that, why did we just spend 30 minutes to do this activity? Do not be shy. Do not be shy.
To engage us possibly and to make us feel more comfortable.
Okay, so Michelle said to make us feel more comfortable. Who else? Katrina, is that you?
Yes, maybe to understand that we all have different beliefs and experiences about money and with money.
Okay, great. John, do you have
notice
something
is-
else to add?
A lot of us are in the same line of work, working with the same populations, and there's a lot of correlations and opportunities for collaboration.
I was going to say
great.
something along the lines of Katrina. I think that we all have different expectations about money and different values and things of that sort. And I think a lot of that stems from our childhood.
This is Mickey. I was
Yeah.
thinking that I like it off when people right from the start gauge what the needs are of the people attending. So that way over the course, everyone's needs are being met. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, we always ask, like, what do you want to learn? Because it's like, if you say something else, we're going to be like scrambling to try to like figure it out, but it's like a sigh of relief because everything you all listed and what you wanted to get out of the training and hope to learn is in your binder and what we're going to cover. So that's really, really cool. So, this is one of the reasons why we do this. If we're in person or virtual, is that, like Dion mentioned and others, so you can see who all is at the table and hopefully be able to network throughout this. You'll be joining the Trainer Support Network if you successfully complete. So you'll be able to continue to network and learn from others as well. But the other reason that we do this activity is because one of the things that we hear is oftentimes comes up is, how do we have this conversation about money, right? And throughout this training, you're going to learn a variety of ways of how we start the conversation about money. As I mentioned, oftentimes there's this shame, right? Maybe from our childhood or from other pieces when it comes to money, and we don't want to talk about it. Or from individuals we work with, we say, we're going to have a class and talk about our money. And then individuals will say, I don't have money. My mom takes care of all of my money. I don't need to understand this, right? So I think that is a piece of, we all have a story, right, about money. We all have a piece of the earliest memory. And so it's a way for us to kind of go into the conversation of, hey, John, this is my earliest memory of money. How about you share with me yours? And then we can build on that as we go through the other pieces. It allows the opportunity to take the scariness, the shame, the whatever we might feel about money, to be able to start to have the conversation. The other thing that we learn from practitioners is they always say, how do I start the conversation? I don't want it to be like, oh, I'm being nosy, or, I'm into that. The other piece to this, why we have this conversation, and somebody mentioned this, I think it was John at the very beginning, about our values and not to put those onto other people. you know, through our work over the years, as we talk with practitioners, that oftentimes comes up, and it also comes up from the individuals because that we support, because, you know, they feel like, oh, I'm being judged because, you know, I have a credit score of 400, or I'm being judged because I didn't pay my electricity bill last month. And so I always do this activity when we're in person, is I sit there and I tell the story about how I did not pay my electricity bill last month, and watching everybody's body language, like you don't know it, but you're judging me because I said I didn't pay my electricity bill, right? Like, hey, Michael has a job. Why didn't he pay his electricity bill? I did pay my electricity bill, but I just shared that subconsciously it's our body language that we relate to the individuals that we work with. At times is also putting those values onto them. Like, you're telling me you have no money, but you just bought a carton of cigarettes, right? Like it's that piece of it. So we're going to talk about that as well, and how we can move from judgment and not put our own personal values in the conversation with individuals where we can really fully support them.
Can I add one thing that would be nice if, and if it doesn't apply, it can be offline. We actually recently have had an upsurge in how many of our members have responded to and have been giving money to, like catfishing, or somebody they met and now they've become a best friend only because they're giving money. So some of that vulnerability, how to help people protect themselves against getting scammed. I don't recall if I saw that in the handouts, but that, or the agenda.
It will. So we'll cover that in module 8. So I think it's module 8. Yes, great. Thank you, Mickey, for bringing that up. All right. With that, any other comments on that activity and the concept of when you go back and start having the conversation about money with individuals? Okay. So let's, I'm going to put up the PowerPoint. Let me just close this out. And then we're going to go over some next items. So Katie, I'm having trouble sharing for some reason. Can you see
there
my
you go.
screen?
We see your screen. We do.
Okay. I didn't set this up prior to it. Darn it. Oh well. All right, so you can see my screen. So I can no longer see the chat box, and I can no longer see all of the pictures or the cameras. So I'm going to assure that Katie, you will double check to make sure we still have everyone. Okay, so we just did the activity. What I want to do is I want to share with you a little bit about the National Disability Institute and go into more of our training. And first of all, I would like to recognize the Illinois Council on Developmental Disabilities for their support of this initiative and allowing us to bring it to the state of Illinois. It's been a really great 2.5 years of training and working with a variety of folks who are offering the curriculum. But for those of you who are not familiar with the National Disability Institute, we are a national organization. We are based in Washington, D.C. As I mentioned, Katie Metz and I live in Florida, and then Nikki is based in Tennessee, and then Lori is based in New York, and the majority of our staff are located throughout the country. With a small core group that's in our DC office. But at the National Disability Institute, we were created really because we envision a society in which people with disabilities have the same opportunities to achieve financial stability and independence as people without disabilities. You know, our organization brought together advocates and providers and family members who came and were really looking at one of the proper goals of the Americans with Disabilities Act. And, you know, the Americans with Disabilities Act is this great civil rights legislation that protects individuals with disabilities, right? In a variety of settings, so that we can have full participation within our job, within society, within our living situations and so forth. But one of the proper goals identified in the civil rights legislation states that economic self-sufficiency is my civil right, right? So just because I'm a person with a disability, achieving economic self-sufficiency is achievable and is my right. But yet, actually, I think somebody's phone needs to be muted. Somebody's line. Okay. But the thing about what brought the advocates together is this: is that here we have the civil rights legislation that states it is my civil right to achieve economic self-sufficiency, but yet what do we have that's a barrier that's keeping that from happening? Anyone? What's keeping that from happening?
Rules and regulations.
I would think.
Rules and regulations. The federal benefit programs, right? The federal
Yes.
benefit programs that state to remain eligible, I have to remain poor, right? If I'm receiving Medicaid, if I'm receiving supplemental security income. So that's where organization really came together to focus specifically on achieving financial stability and really changing the system so that individuals with disabilities can achieve that proper goal stated in the Americans with Disabilities Act. You can learn more about our organization by going to nationaldisabilityinstitute.org. All right, so here's what we're going to cover in our training. We're going to understand why financial wellness is important for people with disabilities. We're going to make sure that you have the talking points that you need to be able to go back into your organization, to other groups to say, hey, I attended this financial wellness program, and this is really an important piece for the individuals that we serve. We're going to understand the difference between financial capability, or financial education, financial capability, and financial wellness. Each of these are different components. And as we go and offer the training, as we begin to have the conversation, it's one thing to be able to provide the knowledge and skills, but we need to move individuals to that positive behavior for ultimately achieving financial wellness. We'll also look at 5 key strategies. This will be on Friday. You'll have me again on Friday, and we'll talk about the 5 key strategies to assist individuals build their financial wellness. And this is really an important piece because we have found that it helps individuals navigate the different programs and resources that are available to assist them. We'll also talk about common barriers in financial wellness. We're going to understand the importance of different financial education topics and how to integrate them in our program activities. One of the things is we don't want you to just go through this training and then get back to your office, and what happens? You put the binder on your shelf, right? So we don't want that to happen. We want to help you really look at your programs and services that you provide and really open it up where you can see how to easily integrate this into the variety of components of your program. We'll also talk about strategies to help individuals move participants from what they need to really utilize the different resources. We'll also have a lot of classroom activities and tools that you'll be doing and be participating in. We believe that as a trainer and as an individual, every activity, before you can train, we want to make sure that you've done the activity. What we've learned over the years is that the tools that you see, some of them are very simple, but it's also been very impactful on the personal lives of the individuals who've gone through the training as they've been able to incorporate. One of mine and Katie's favorite parts of this entire training is, drum roll, please. At the end, you will be doing group presentations. We call it masterpiece theater, right? So the last 2 days, in the coming days, we'll divide you up into groups, and then each group will put together a group presentation on one of the modules. All right. So I know it might sound scary right now, but it isn't. Everybody has survived who's done it. But it allows us, for us to see how you are interpreting the information, delivering it, but then also gives you a chance to kind of have some experience. And then your fellow colleagues will also be providing some positive feedback on your presentations. And then, of course, we'll talk about next steps. So that's what we have to cover. All right? A lot, but it sounds like a lot, but trust me, the flow of it, it's content, activities, content, activities. All right? Katie, before we go to next steps, actually, and I apologize, friend, that you wanted me to remind about the whiteboard. So could I turn it over to you and you do that before we move on?
No problem.
Or I'm going to stop sharing, okay?
Yep. Yeah, no problem. Okay. So we create for these classes a whiteboard that you as students can use to share with one another and information. We do that through Google Docs. So I'm going to send you a link after this training, excuse me, and then you'll receive, so in that link, you'll receive the online website that has all the training materials that are in your binder in case you want those in an electronic format, or if you didn't receive your binder yet, you'll have access to that. And then again, you also have the Google Docs, which is that whiteboard that you can use. We ask that you don't really share either of these or the passwords with anyone because they really are kind of proprietary to this training and it's part of being participating, and we want to make sure that whoever has those materials has been trained and knows how to use them, right? So again, I'll share that and you can use that whiteboard to maybe jot down questions that we don't get to in the class and you want one of us to answer for you, or you can use it as a space to share with one another. In the past, we've had trainees who wanted to share contact information. I've already seen in the chat a couple of people talking about, you know, I'd like to know more about the program that you mentioned. So that'll be an opportunity for you to do that. We will keep it up throughout the training and even afterwards, although we'll get into it later. We'll also move to another format that we use called Basecamp, where you'll be able to network with all of the trainers that have been trained. So with that, like I said, I'll put it in the chat box now, but you'll get it via email or afterwards. Okay, thanks guys.
Great, thank you, Katie. Perfect. All right, let's move on. All right, so that's our overview, what we have. So let's just have a discussion. And again, I can't see everyone. So again, when I'm sharing my screen, but I just want us to have a conversation about the questions that I have up here. And again, if you respond, if you could just say your name, just so we can try to find you. So you can touch on this earlier from our other perspective, but why is it difficult at times to talk about money with the individuals we work with or that we support? Who can share why they think at times it's difficult?
This is Susan. With my son, what's difficult is that he doesn't differentiate needs from wants, and the wants are pretty high. And sometimes the expense related to the wants are just not within his scope of saving.
Okay.
And that leads to arguments.
This is I was going to say, in addition to the people who I support, I also have a twin brother who has different disabilities. And I would say both, you know, when I'm at home with my brother and when I'm at work, I see a lot of the individuals comparing themselves to me. And they see that I have a car, that I came in with a new shirt, or I came in with Starbucks, and they want all of those same things. And they struggle to, you know, they just get so upset in the moment because they just want to be the same as everybody else.
Can I say something as well?
Yes. Great, Bonnie, yes.
Hi,
Yes.
I can agree with the other two individuals that spoke. I do have another son who has that same image of a problem of understanding money. Actually, he's living beyond his means. And when I say that, if you can't afford your rent, you know, other things, and you see other people affording it, I need him to understand, which this is a good tool for me to have a conversation with him. Even though I do taxes and I do a number of things, I explain to him how to manage his money a little better versus just throwing it out there. We all earn money differently, as far as working for different companies, or if you're self-employed. With me being an owner, of course, I have to manage a lot. So just everything that I do and how to help individuals with disabilities, been in the field for over 20 years, it would definitely help trying to break it down a little bit better for them, because everybody's at a different level of understanding when it comes to doing the money aspects. They think everything is chop, chop, chop. We gotta have it, because that's what a lot of people look at versus the hard going on, learning how you have to, you know, balance your money, balance paying utility bills, balance paying rent, those things. So yes, coming with different conversations would definitely help understand how to get across to individuals that don't really concept it right away. You know, even if they're working in the community, or if they're working or getting their SSI, those are the things they need to understand of a budget form, because it's different per area when it comes to budgeting.
Sure, great. Excellent, Bonnie,
Can I
thank
add
you.
something else?
Oh, I'm sorry, no problem.
Agatha?
I'm unmuted so quickly.
Okay, so
We're
Can
going to
I-
Agatha and then Shannon. Agatha
Okay,
and then
so-
Shannon.
yes, for example, for our clients, I work in the Epilepsy Foundation. So I can see it's difficult with our clients talk about money because they don't feel empowered to have money, because usually there's other people that maybe they manage the finances. So that's why they feel also they are powerless. Okay. So, and also that is number one. And then on another side, I think also it's hard for us when we try to say that this is not the truth, that maybe we can do things differently. So also comparison, because every person is on a different level. So in different situation, and they have different resources. That's why the capability to get things is different as well. So, and that is one of the key points, at least for us, how it's a little bit difficult when we need to talk about money, because our client, the majority of our clients, they say, okay, because I don't have any income, so it's my mom, my husband, with other person who has that responsibility, they don't need to do anything about it. So.
Sure. Great, thank you for sharing that. All right, we're going to go to one more, Shannon, and then we're going to move on. Shannon, please share your thoughts.
I was thinking about the fact that culturally here in America, we tend to keep money and financial problems to ourselves. I think, like you said, Michael, due to either shame that we don't have what other people have, or we fear someone's going to ask for something that we have if we're seen as having more than them. So there's this kind of culture where it's like, you keep that to yourself. So that makes it kind of hard to even broach the subject. I think culturally that's something that we have to kind of be more open about, maybe, if we want to increase the education. Yeah. Then I had something else,
Excellent.
but it's gone now.
Oh, if it closes that, just put it in the chat box and let us know. So absolutely. So, you know, Shannon, you bring up a really good piece. I mean, and one of the reasons I asked this question is for two things. So first of all, studies show that we are more likely to talk about the loss of a pet, the loss of a parent, the loss of a loved one, something that has this deep emotional pain aspect of it, than we are to talk about our personal finances. You know, so there is that piece that, I mean, if you think about it, that as you mentioned, Shannon, like culturally, we are more likely to talk about that because of that piece of judgment that could happen. The other piece that I look at this and based on our work and what research also shows is that sometimes individuals feel that I haven't created a spending plan. I don't balance my checkbook. I don't got my finances in order. So how in the world can I be talking to an individual I support if I don't do any of that stuff either? So that's the other piece of it. But if you're an individual who that kind of sounds like, your scenario, I want you to know that I'm so glad you're here, because we have learned from so many people who've gone through the training that they said, I implemented these pieces in my personal life and was able to build their financial wellness. And then as they did it, they was more likely to be able to translate it onto the individuals that they serve. All right. So great.
The other one I have was just that I teach youth, and the youth don't want to listen to anything someone 20 years older than them has to say, because a lot of high school seniors think they know what it's going to be like.
Yeah, throughout the program, we're going to share with you some stories and lessons learned from youth, and what have they gone through the different activities and became the light bulb moment for them. So we'll definitely touch on that as well. Okay, great. So kind of talk about it. What would make it more comfortable is, I think, after you complete the training. And then, of course, we've also shared on why this is important for us to share, right? That we want individuals to be empowered. Even if somebody else is managing their money, if they're getting $5, $10, they're getting something, right, to be able to look at. So let's move on. So let's spend some time talking about financial wellness, what it is and why it's important. So you will have access to these slides. They're on the website that Katie had shared. But we put some data points in here that you can access. But here's something that we really want to share on why this is important is, that we know that 39% of adults are employed compared to 80% of those without a disability. I mean, let's face it, we need wages, right, to be able to build financial wellness. So employment is one goal, but not the only goal. We also know from our work in pulling the statistics that 25% of people with a disability live in poverty and 20% receive supplemental income. So there definitely is this audience that needs this information. We also know why this is important is that through our research, we know that individuals with disabilities are more likely to use alternative financial services like check cashing, money orders, and remittances, and rather than traditional banking services. So that's why we really talk about financial services in a couple modules, because it's really an important piece. We also know that savings is a barrier, but there are options for individuals that they can use to be able to save, which we'll also be covering. We also know that individuals with a disability more likely to receive a needs-based benefit, whether if it's not a cash benefit or it could be for their medical bills. And so again, this is an important topic to help individuals navigate their public benefit programs to really achieve financial wellness. The other piece that is really important to note is that we know that 80% of individuals with disabilities have no net assets, Why do you think that number is so large, that percentage? Penny, I see Penny. Penny, I saw your hand first.
I think that they're worried about penalties and things being taken away from them. If you're going to show too much or something, then they're going to penalize your income coming in.
Great. Katrina, you had an additional thought?
It's similar to what Penny said. I think they've been somewhat discouraged from becoming a better them with the finances. Again, because they're penalized for saving, they're penalized for owning. So I think it's just that the system has somewhat unintentionally discouraged individuals with disabilities from being financially independent.
Absolutely.
Yeah, please, Nikki, I just noticed it said all American households, not individuals with disability. And I was thinking that just 33%, if that's our actual real poverty level, that says something about our current system. If that's 30%, not of people with of the disabilities, but 30% of Americans are at really low level of poverty is striking.
Yeah, and this is looking at the net assets, looking at those assets that, to have. And, one of the pieces that's a barrier here also is the myths. Oftentimes, individuals believe they can't own a home because it would impact a benefit that they're receiving, which is not the case. So great. Thank you all so much for sharing. So this is one of the pieces that's really an important piece and concept for us to know. We're going to spend a few minutes on this, and then we're going to go do an activity. And just so you know, each time we will be doing some reviews of the content. Also, there will be a final assessment that everyone will have to take, but just note, I shouldn't tell you this right now because I know it's going to change things, but I'll just give you a heads up. The assessment is open book, right? But there will be an assessment at the end, and this will be one of those questions on it, all right? So let's look at this model and really understand this, okay? Very key. So financial education. Financial education is the knowledge and skills that I'm passing on to someone, right? So Susan gave an example earlier about her son, which was a great example, Susan, about needs versus wants, right? So on that topic of needs versus wants, that is a financial education topic, right? So I want to share the information, the difference between needs versus wants to my son, right? Or to an individual that I support, right? So great. I talk about what's a need, what's a want. After we understand that and we have the basic knowledge of that topic, then we need to look at financial capability, which financial capability is the positive actions, that positive behavior, right, that we put into place, okay? And that's what we're really looking for. We're really looking for individuals to not only get the information, but to put it into action. So let's say I'm talking to educating an individual on needs versus wants, talking about that. Then as they identify something that they want, they sit and reflect, this is a need or is it a want? If it's a need, I need to make sure I have the money for it. If it's a want, I need to save for it, right? So then when we put that positive behavior into action, it leads to the positive outcome. It leads to financial wellness, okay? Financial wellness is the ultimate goal that we're all trying to achieve. Financial wellness means that I have enough money to cover my day-to-day expenses, right? That I'm able to save for the future. And the third piece that's really important about financial wellness is that I can survive a financial shock, okay? So who can share with me what a financial shock is?
Maybe losing your job. Yes. And
All right, I didn't, whose name? Who is speaking?
Cindy. Say
Cindy.
Cindy. Yeah.
Oh,
I was
perfect. There you are, Cindy.
Okay.
Go ahead, please. Yeah.
I was gonna say maybe losing your job without realizing it, and all of a sudden you don't have any money coming in.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's a financial shock, right? What's another example of a financial shock?
This is Heather Baker. The the instantaneous medical bills. My husband laid down a motorcycle several years ago. That was a financial shock.
Absolutely, absolutely, great examples. So the thing is, in particular with the pandemic, boy, have individuals experienced financial shocks, right, as well. But that's an important piece to keep in mind, is that a financial shock means different to each of us, right? It could be losing a job. It could be, a refrigerator going out. It could be having a flat tire and not having the resources to get $150 to get a new tire so I can get to work. So those are a variety of pieces when it comes to a financial shock. So let's look at this concept again with another example. Financial education, because again, this is really important as you look to go and deliver this, is you want to be like, okay, I'm going to give you the information, but then how can I support, or how can we guide you to put this in action that will ultimately help you achieve your ultimate outcome? So financial education, knowledge and skills. I teach you how to create a spending plan, all right? I then go and I create a spending plan, and then I create the spending plan, but I'm following my spending plan. Okay, so I created it, knowledge and skills. My action is to create it, and my action is to stick with it. Then will lead to financial wellness, hopefully if we stick to it and we have a balanced spending plan. Does this make sense? And if not, please speak up, and it's okay. It's okay. We're all open to asking questions and making sure we understand concepts. Make sense?
I have a question, Michael. Can you repeat what are the three components for the financial wellness? When you make the definition, you say, okay, that's the ultimate goal. And what are the three components?
Yeah, so financial wellness is, there's three pieces to it that we look at, right? So great question, thank you. So when we look at financial wellness, is that I have money to pay my day-to-day expenses, right? I have money, resources to save for the future to help achieve those financial goals, and that I can also survive a financial shock. All right, great question. Any other questions on this before we move on? Okay, great. So on Friday, somebody will be presenting this information to the group. And maybe I will draw names and see who it is or what. But we will cover this each time because it's that important. Cool? All right. Great. Okay, so this piece, and then we're going to do an activity. So why is financial wellness important? We've already gone over this. It's a quality education, effective transition from school to work, affordable transportation. It's a variety of things that allows us to have access to these different opportunities. But, when we don't have financial wellness or even on the pathway to it, enduring poverty and the lack of economic empowerment or financial wellness, it really diminishes our choice and quality of life within communities. And it really diminishes our freedom, opportunity, and self-determination. One thing that we emphasize in this training, and we talk about the manual in just a minute, is I firmly believe, as an individual with a disability, as an advocate, I believe we cannot have a conversation about inclusion. We can't have a conversation about self-determination. We cannot have a conversation about person-centered planning if we do not also have a conversation about financial wellness, right? Because how can I be fully included in society if I do not have the resources or the opportunity to participate in the community? So, I'll give you an example. My friends are going to the ball game, right? I have no money to go to the ball game. am I being able to participate in the community and being included? No. Even if it's 50 cents for the bus, if we're, in some areas, but what even if it's a small, the idea of financial wellness has to be a part of this conversation in each of those. Because again, if not, it's going to continue to diminish our freedom to really be able to be fully inclusive within society. All right. Okay. So I already talked about it's the law. What's the barrier? Go back here for a minute. We know the barrier is public attitudes, right? And I think it was Dion who said this, or maybe someone else, but it's also those biases or those attitudes within our own community. It's not only the public attitudes outside who say, oh, all people with disabilities live together in a group home, or all people with disabilities, all their needs are met because every single person with a disability receives a public benefit. But then we also have that public attitude within our own community, really, right? Saying, well, I don't know anybody who owns a home, so I'm not going to own a home. Somebody had mentioned the low expectations, right? So that is another piece of this, is the barrier. It's that low expectation. But we do know that by having these trainings and having these conversations, that it is creating a shift and the system is changing. We also know that regulations that discourage savings for the future, like retirement emergencies, et cetera, we now have ABLE accounts that are allowing us that opportunity to save, right? Okay. We are going to talk about this even more in the coming months, or coming weeks. Months, you're like, oh, geez, I can't put up with this that long. All right, we're going to do an activity right quick. All right. Perfect. Now, bummer. Three of you don't have your binders. Could you go to the website? Because there is so this is the binder. Inside your binder, I always say with Zoom, it's like, do I have a future with like the Home Shopping Network or QVC? Like how to position things? No? Okay, fine. I can dream, right? I can dream. Okay, in your binder is an envelope. Envelope. All right, so in it, or you can go to the website, just know that everybody's going to be able to have access to these. You can write on these handouts, and you have other copies in there. But this is what I would like you to find. Hopefully everything's in the same order. So hopefully everybody's is in the same order. So the fourth handout from the end of the pile is rate your financial behavior. So in my packet, it was a thumb through everything. There were three items in front and behind it. So the fourth from the back. Everyone find it?
Okay. Can you repeat the name? Is that rate your financial behavior?
Yes, rate your financial behavior. Boy, I look, other people are showing it too. See, everybody is, many of us might have future jobs at the Home Shopping Network or QVC, right? Or the Jewelry Channel. Anybody watch that one? Okay. We're good? Okay, here's what I want you to do. I want you to take a couple minutes to fill this out. You're going to put a check mark on each one. So pay bills on time, always, sometimes, or never. Okay? Now, be honest, okay? Because you all are there, nobody can see your paperwork. When we do this in class, you know what happens? It's like people are sitting at their desks and they're like doing it like this. Like they don't want their neighbors to see their scores or see what they marked. So everybody's safe, all right? But be honest, fill it out. And again, you'll have these handouts access to them. All right, how are we? Everybody have it done? Everyone have it done? If you have it done, give the thumbs up. Thumbs up. Okay, great. All right, now, if you haven't talked yet or asked the question, now's your time. This is now you're going to be like, darn, I wish I would have asked the question earlier or filled in. So with that, I want somebody to share with me how they felt as they completed the handout.
This is Katrina.
Okay.
Wow. As I look at this, I can honestly tell you all that I need to do some work. I never have even though I have a savings, I don't have a planned amount that I save weekly. I just know I need to do some work. I don't know anything. I don't balance a checkbook. I never do over payments or anything of that nature. I never over withdraw from my account, but just never to sit down and balance it is probably not a good thing.
Great. Thank you, Katrina. Thanks so much for sharing. I really appreciate that. Great. Who else hasn't gone earlier? Alyssa.
So I think I save when there's something big that I want. Like I'll say to my husband, oh, I want to redo the kitchen, so I'll stop going to Starbucks. How long is it going to take me? But when I told him I was doing this training, he said, oh, so everyone that you work with is now going to be overdrawn and not balance their checkbooks. So I guess I never balance my checkbook. So you got a kick out of that.
That is great. Great story. Thank you, Alyssa. Cindy, I saw your hand up, and then Agatha.
Okay. Yeah. So I definitely need a lot of work too. While we have some, savings plans, I do save weekly because I have my bank set up to automatically transfer money into my savings account. Otherwise, I'd probably never do it. But I definitely, checking my credit report, having money in more than one type of investment, planning and setting goals for a financial future. And we almost never, like if we want something big, we usually don't save for it. We just put it on a credit card. So we definitely have to start saving.
Great. Thank you, Cindy, for sharing. Agatha.
In my case, I noticed that the majority of my answer was sometime. Therefore, so it seems like I'm not very disciplined. So, and I need more consistency with things. So, and I'm agree with, I don't remember the name for the person that was before me that say, yes, maybe if you have a purpose, maybe I can do like a little bit more diligent. But after I accomplish my purpose, then, okay, I come back. I think I need to be more diligent with things. So that is an area to work for me, definitely.
Great. Now, Heather, where's Heather? I'm saying, where's Heather? As I'm sitting here going through like,
I'm right here.
There you are. Heather, thank you. I saw your chat box and I thought it was so good. I was sitting here going like crazy trying to find, like, why do you all keep moving? All right, Heather, yes, please. Do you want to share?
The only always that I really earn is that my paycheck's direct deposited to my checking account. I checked always that I pay my bills on time, but I always pay my bills on time when I remember them. So, that $25 copay I forgot to pay at the doctor's office has been sent to collections before because I forget.
Right. Absolutely. Great. All right, one more. Penny, I see you. Or Dion.
Yeah.
Penny and Dion. Yeah, Dion, we'll go with you first.
All right. Just reviewing this, I kind of see that my behavior is pretty much fixed because I pay my bills on time, check, direct deposit, savings account, review credit. But that's because not having a savings plan, I'm just getting paid just to pay bills. So then I thought about why is that? That's because 4 and 5, track expenses, record keeping, and having a budget, that's in a never column. That's how I kind of get erratically spending on things that's not even a priority. So I'm definitely, this is a awakening moment for me. So thanks for this activity.
Sure. All right, we'll go to Penny and then Bonnie, and then we're gonna move on. Penny.
I recently remarried a couple years ago, and after 20 years of handling everything on my own, I was thrilled to hand it over. But yet I see on here, when I look at our plan now, that I probably need to take part of this back. Because yes, we do have a savings, small one, and I have a direct deposit, but I have way too many nevers. And this opened my eyes and maybe thought, you know, as much as easy as it was for me to say, I don't have to do this anymore, maybe I need to put some effort into it and help.
Yeah, Penny, you bring up a really good point. You know what this is really a good activity for? It's a good activity at home. It's a good activity for couples. Earlier in my career, my background is in the mental health community and psychology. And as I would do with the Glenner School in California, would have the individuals with the TANF program back then, TANF customers would go through counseling and, in the couples and things like that. And, one of the things that would happen were most of the common arguments within a relationship was over finances. So these are good activities to be able to go through, to be able to get on the same page. All right, Bonnie, we'll have you share, and then we need to get ready to close, move on to the next activity. Bonnie, please share.
Can you hear me?
Actually, yep, there we go. Yes.
Okay. So I pretty much agree. I love this financial behavior rate sheet because I do quite a bit of these things myself, but it's called, I want to say Agaga, if I think I'm saying her name right. She mentioned discipline. If you don't have discipline, you're not going to be able to really actually fulfill a lot of these. Now, the credit card stuff, I paid it off. I have no more debt. So that's a good thing. Paying the bills sometimes on time. I'm like, I forgot the other young lady name who says she sometimes remember and then sometimes she doesn't. But what I tend to do is I picked up another checking account and made that for solely bill paying. So it'd be easier so it won't come out of my direct checking account. I will put money in there and then the bills that are automatically, it gets paid that way. So I won't have any negative on my credit. So I learned how to do that early on through someone else. I thought that was a great idea. So that's something that can be implemented through anyone. If you think about it, if you put it, even if you're paying the IRS, let's take them, for example, and you have a bill to pay with them versus them going into your personal account, you have another account that they can just take their monthly payment out and you'll be good to go each month. So something like that, even with your utilities as well.
Great. Thank you, Bonnie, for sharing. Sarah, I appreciate what you put in the chat box about making me feel more normal than I ever in terms of money management. That's really a great piece. So thank you for sharing that. The piece with this too is that, sometimes we don't step back and reflect, right, on what is our situation. And so as we go through this, we'll learn a variety of additional activities that we can do to start to really look at what it is that we want to achieve. How do we really set those goals? How do we really create that savings behavior? How do we balance our checkbook and things like that? You know, one thing, my partner and I have been together for 22 years, and I always say that if something happens, you know, I don't think he knows all the accounts and knows like the schedule of paying things. And so Penny, whenever you mentioned that, I created that behavior within our family as well. I think that's normal. So it is a piece where you have to come back and really have those conversations to be able to really change things and be able to do. This is a simple activity, isn't it? It's a simple activity that caused us to what? Think and reflect.
Exactly.
And hopefully create some things that we need to work on. This is another way to be able to start the conversation with the individuals that you work with. And the thing is that you can change this around, right? And you know, like have any more than one investment, you know, an individual on a needs-based benefit might mark, of course, never, or what is that? But that's okay. But you can get the idea of how this simple tool can help create conversation. Make sense? Cool. Okay, so, oh my gosh, we're in our final 15 minutes. I know we shared a lot today. You got to communicate, but I hope you are going to come back on Friday. So I hope that you will enjoy it. On Friday, what we're going to be doing is we will be talking about the 5 key strategies. And then we're also going to do a scavenger hunt and then do a couple other activities that will help you set goals, or you to work with individuals to set goals, and then that will build on the rest of the modules that we will talk about. In the coming weeks, just so you know, we will cover everything in the binder. We'll cover all of this content. It's broken up in a way that we share content, then we do an activity, right? So we want to be able to understand it, and then how do we translate it? How do we deliver it? So that's why everybody's doing the activity. One thing I think is really important to note that as we go on to talk about financial services, tax credits, credit, Social Security, protecting your identity, there is not an expectation that within our time together that you are going to be an expert on each of these topics, right? The way this curriculum was developed was on self-determination, person-centered planning, but it was developed really about building community participation, okay? So we can't be an expert on everything, on all of these different topics, but we want you to know and to be able to translate to the individuals that you work with, what are those resources, what are those community groups that can help me on different topics. So for example, if an individual has credit issues, right? You may not be able to help solve or have the expertise to help them solve their credit issues, but we want to make sure you know who to refer them to as a trusted source so that they can work on their credit, okay? Or if they have an identity issue, how they can do, help them with their identity, or opening an ABLE account. We want to make sure you know. So you'll have the basic information to be able to talk about it, and then guide them to experts if people want more information. Make sense? So within our time, we'll cover 2 modules after next week, because this week we are laying the foundation, getting everybody to know each other. Then we will do 2 modules a day. We also will have, each time we're together, we also will have guest presenters who will come in and share information as well. For those of you who do not have your binder, hopefully you message Katie to confirm your address so we can get that taken care of and get that sent out, find out where it is right away. One of the things that we would like for everyone to do is, if you go back to your envelope of handouts, the third handout, third from the end, is the spending diary. The spending diary. Everybody find it? It's in your envelope or it's on the website if you're using the website. Great. Okay, so this is your homework. Listen, after the last virtual class and the other, people said, like, I had no idea I was going to get homework. Okay, listen, this homework is so easy, okay? It's not like you're going to be like, you know, having to go to Google University to be like researching and getting everything to get, no. These homework assignments are just like little things to do. But if it's you can't accomplish it or whatever, then please let us know and we can talk about it, okay? But the spending diary, here's the idea behind this activity. What we want you to do is between now and next Wednesday, it'll be a week, but start on it on today if you can, and then we'll talk about it on Friday about the general reaction. But what we want you to do is we want you to keep each time you spend any kind of money, whether you're at Amazon, whether you go to the grocery store, whether you put money in the parking meter, whatever you do, we want you to write that amount down on the day that you spend that money. Okay? So like for me this morning, after I dropped our dog off at daycare, I went to Dunkin' Donuts. So I will put that amount that I spent at Dunkin' Donuts here for Wednesday, okay? So if I spend any other money today, I have to put that in here, okay? Now be honest, just sit and think about all the things you spend money on. Just fold it up, put it in your pocket, whatever to be able to do, okay? This is also a fun activity to do with others in your home as well. But this is the homework assignment, is to keep track of your spending. Make sense? Trust me, this is going to be an eye-opener, okay? Great. So that's your homework assignment to do. All right, with that, before we close out, Katie, do you want to give reminders, other updates, feedback, comments?
No, it's great seeing you guys. Thank you for being so interactive. Like I said, you'll get an email after this one with some of the links we talked about. And other than that, you'll see Michael on Friday.
Yes, so I will be with everyone on Friday, and Nikki will be here helping. And then on Monday, Katie will be back with you as well as Lori, where we're starting to talk about next Wednesday. We have another training going on. I'm getting my days mixed up. Keep me in line, please. And then we'll go into the modules. Before we close out, are there any comments, questions, anything that you would like to share or questions that you have before we go?
This is Katrina. I just want to let you know, there are some trainings that you be like, let me just go and get it done. I really have enjoyed this. This has been eye-opening for me personally. And I love the idea. I love the interactiveness of this training. So thank you so very much for presenting this morning. And it's really appreciated.
Hey, thank you, Penny. Yes.
I
I'm
sorry. I had a blast and I laughed so much, when everybody was telling their own things. It brightened my morning. And I want to say that I'm so thankful that I did big shopping last night.
Great. All right, Regina.
No, I just want to say that I am truly enjoying the interaction. I'm glad to engage with others who are also in the field. But more importantly, I just want to point out the point of checking your credit report. Unfortunately, I had learned the hard way when I tried to purchase my first home. I hadn't been checking, And come to find out, it was another Regina that had a bankruptcy, and they were not willing to give me the loan. I had to dispute it. And we had different socials, just the same name. So after 90 days, I was able to go ahead and get the loan for the house, but I had to do the dispute because someone with my same name had a bankruptcy, which was so mind-blowing to me. I said, I am a first-time home buyer, so clearly that tells you that I don't have a house. But had I checked that beforehand, I would have known that and not had to wait. So thankfully, the house that I wanted was still there, but it was a learning lesson for me that I definitely need to be more frequently about checking my credit report.
Great. Thank you, Regina. Absolutely. And we'll spend some time talking about credit. One of my favorite topics is how the credit score is made up, which is really, and what you just shared about identity theft is really, and somebody else's or another name is really an important piece. I appreciate the comments regarding the interactivity or the being active or being an active training and the because we really spent some time to really look at how do we do that, because our in-person trainings we felt like were really just so, so I appreciate hearing that at least on day one, the pressure for like day two, things will be as interactive. But we take your feedback and, please let us know. All right. All right. Any other thoughts before we close out? Just so you know, just because we're leaving like 4 minutes early today, if we do, that's not going to happen every time because we have to stay our allotted time. But yeah, any final thoughts? Going once.
Are we going to end for sure at 11 then, or will it go over sometimes?
No, we really, if it goes over just like a few minutes, but we really are like, Katie and I are like, we respect
okay, because I have a
and,
Zoom group that starts at 11, so if I have to get off right at 11, I can.
Yep.
Okay.
So we'll be. The only time there would be is just if there were any questions, and then people can drop off. But we really make sure the content stops at that time. All right. Okay. Perfect. Well, I hope everyone has a wonderful day, and I hope you come back on Friday. All right. Okay. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.